qualifying? And how do you know?
If we buy that Coke, who will be hurt?
If we shop at Walmart, what gets damaged?
If we drink Starbucks coffee, where is the injury?
If we don't buy the Coke, where's the triumph?
If we walk on past Walmart, what goal have we achieved?
If we buy unremarkable coffee at a deli, have we won?
Of course. And no. Change now. Change is now. Change is now. Iron out the inconsistencies.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Do more than shop.
Not either or, but and both. Or neither, none.
free to do so. My refusal is my freedom. You always ask, don't you feel deprived? And why don't I have some fun? Life is too short, you say. Right on, right on. But saying yes would mean I couldn't think. I couldn't think about where it came from, or where it was going, or how it got there. Or the future. Or the past. And I couldn't think about myself too much. Without feeling stolen from. Or guilty. My refusal is the freedom to think about my actions, not hide from them. My refusal is the refusal to feel guilt. The refusal to stop thinking. watch TV. And those shoes make you go to the movies. That car makes you go driving. And your meal is making you stupid. Your activities push you to diversion. I'm pushing myself elsewhere. The freedom of refusal.
But the most elite among us are animals. But the most elite among us are animals. But the most elite among us are animals. Never take us down. Never take our glimpse.
renting? Are you leasing? Are you an owner? Renting to own? What is your agreement? Insurance against the underaged. A greater risk equals an extra tax. Extra taxing. And where did you learn about ownership? And how do you feel about possessions? What is threatening? With tonight? How are you who you're with tonight? How are you who you're with tonight? What does it mean to be unfaithful? A conversation, a meaningless fuck. An intimate moment when no one touches. So scared to not own. Enacting the ideal is the greatest fear. Are you renting? Are you leasing? Are you an owner? Renting to own. What is your agreement? Possession! Possessive! I don't have it straight yet! And I don't know what I'm talking about! I don't understand why this is so hard! Yes, I do! Yes, I do! How are you who you're with tonight? What does it mean to be unfaithful? How are you who you're with tonight? What does it mean to be unfaithful? How are you who you're with tonight? What does it mean to be unfaithful? How are you who you're with tonight? 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 'Cause
We drove out to Gloucester, a beach town on the north shore of Massachusetts. It was February and still cold. It was around 11 when we stopped at the first beach we found. There was a long and winding road to the beach. The fog enveloped the car at points, and the radio faded in and out. Finally, we pulled into a deserted parking lot. We walked past the dunes that separate the beach from the lot, and we could finally hear the ocean. We walked towards the sound of the water. I repeatedly mistook the glistening sand in the moonlight for the water. It was low tide. Suddenly Christopher screamed, "Look down, oh my God, look down." With each step, a fluorescent green light spread out from beneath our feet. It was just like a dream, like we would wake up at any moment, because these things don't happen in real life. We danced around the beach, making sand light up in our footsteps. Dr. Luca just said, "That's what it is. I just read about them." Tiny organisms that light up when they're agitated. We ran around the beach, sweeping our feet across the sand, against rocks, splashing in puddles, scattering the Dr. Luca in arcs, in waves, in tiny rivers. They collided with each other and set themselves off, creating green streams that flowed across the sand. Sit on the ocean surface and roll with the tide. Waves create giant fluorescent swells in the middle of the sea. They are invisible peaceful and still until they are upset, at which point they are at their most beautiful. Noctiluca. Nightlight. I really think you ought to roll over and die. I've been telling you to desist for several years now. I wrote a paper about you. I have also written to my friends to express my disapproval of your recent actions. Decided to be an anarchist. a banner about you. I marched in line about you. I made snide comments about you to my knowing friends. I took your money and bought a pen to slay you with. Depressed about your bombs. I got mad over your injustices. I became cynical about your attempts to improve. I read 6 books about you in 2 years. I even went to a lecture. I waited so long to throw a bomb that I can't find you anymore. I wouldn't know whom to shoot if I could stomach a gun. I highly suggest you commit suicide immediately. Peacefully. And don't get your blood on my hands. I just licked them clean.
For starters, we need to apologize for the force we used to get you here.
But our concerns over your recent behavior warranted our threats. We had no other recourse, since we know that if you were called here by the legal system, you probably would have simply ignored us.
You seem to be on a very destructive path. I mean, both for yourself and for others.
We're worried that you might hurt yourself.
Actually, we're worried about the way that you are hurting yourself. It seems to be constant at this point. I know it all seems like a lot of fun to you, but you've been in a daze for too long to realize how self-destructive this all is. You wear your scars without seeing them. The erosion of your ideals, loss of privacy and liberty, and the injuries you cause yourself are only bound to get worse. You're deteriorating, friend. We thought that it would work itself out, that you would get on the right track. But it seems that you're going further and further down a path toward increasing domination of resources and people.
And it seems to be getting worse. You're lashing out, you're hurting others around you, you're misconstruing all you do as liberal progress.
And honestly, this behavior's been going on for a long time. You now have a long history of only looking out for yourself and regarding your selfishness to be ethical goodwill towards all.
And while we do find this behavior understandable to a certain degree, you've taken it to a seemingly pathological extreme.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking out for yourself in a way that's destroyed your reputation with others.
And we know this is hard to hear, and that you find it impossible to believe. But the truth is that most of the community you're in feels a great deal of resentment towards you. This may be in part due to envy of your great wealth and material abundance. However, I think we would be irresponsible if we failed to share with you the fact that most of the resentment is due to the way you exploit those with less than you, ensuring that they always have less than you, and appropriating their resources for your own self-interest.
We're sorry to have to use such strong language. However, the ever-expanding gulf between the rich and the poor, and the fact that you have had no opponent of your equal for over 10 years illustrates your position in the global scheme of things. Simply put, you are the only superpower, and you are perceived by many to be the most extraordinary criminal to ever get away with murder.
Yeah, you've been doing a great deal of harm in the world. Far, far more harm than good. And don't tell us you're well-intentioned. We know some of your actions truly help those more disadvantaged than yourself, but taken as a whole, your actions have brought more pain and misery into this world than any other member of the community.
I know it's painful to hear about your offenses, but none of us feel like you've come to grips with it. And this is the first step to recovery, overcoming denial.
And of course, none of us are beyond reproach, but the degree to which you've gone, I don't know. It's truly frightening.
All right, so we're here to tell you that you've got to stop. We love you and we care about you. I mean, we love you and care about you enough to tell you the truth. And the truth is that we cannot let you go on in this manner anymore. Most of the community has sought to deal with the way you govern yourself and not with you personally. But pretty soon, as has already begun to happen with a recent and devastating tragedy, you personally will begin to pay a price for the crimes of your governing mechanisms. And all the security that you claim to be fighting for will actually be undermined by your selfish and murderous actions. I mean, given the reckless life you've been living, you're lucky to still be alive.
Don't go on deceiving yourself. You've been a destructive force for quite a long time. To be completely honest, everyone would be much better off if you had never ascended to the leadership role you currently hold.
You've been a terrible, terrible leader.
You've really led everyone down the wrong path. You've gone so far as to force others to join you, as if your way was the only acceptable way by imposing deadly penalties on all those who dare to pronounce a worldview that's different from your own.
And yes, we've sat by and let it happen to some degree, but we cannot do that any longer because you pose too great a threat.
I can see that you're upset. But when you ask, why does everyone hate me? Please think about the things we've discussed here.
And honestly, look, no one hates you personally. It's your program that they hate. Clearly, the entire program is designed to benefit only you. No one can stand for that anymore. And people have been literally dying for it for decades now.
That's right, it's over. We will not let you continue.
And we don't really trust you to change on your own anymore, so we're cutting you off.
What do you mean we can't do that? Of course we can. We won't have anything to do with you at all until you start making some changes.
Don't you threaten us. What are you going to do? Kill us all? We're staying together on this one. You're clearly outnumbered. You have always seemed to think that you make up more of the world than you actually do.
And we're all cutting you off. Please don't insist on making this a violent affair. With all of us banding together, I mean, how far will you go?
So what's it going to be?
Yeah. Are you willing to change?
Not in the Greek sense, anarchos.
It's too easy to beat. Etymology. Not as simple as the absence of government, an idea you can sink with a breath. Complicated like its history, and worth more than you've spent. Anti-civilizationists versus the pro-technological, syndicalists versus anti-workers, propaganda by deed or only by word, institutional versus non-institutional, denounce what you like or just pick and choose.
Not in the Greek sense, anarchos.
But in the sense of no concessions to the failures of representatives. The greatest degree of disgust for the greatest degrees of the worst. Electing the unelected. And not just a little more change, but more than gets recommended. A form of socialism, but unlike the kind you object to. A socialism that prefers to replace what others have tried to use better.
Not in the Greek sense, anarchos.
But in the sense of redistribution. Not a vanguard savior with a top-down capitalism spinning on its own head, making the hands of the few simply someone else's. Political self-identifications will fix you to a party, even if not to the oligopoly tree. To be anchored and delimited to a single camp of ideology detonates anarchist allergies.
Not in the Greek sense, anarchos.
But in a sense of honing the most visceral criticism. Unrelenting, unrepentant with irreverent hope. Anarchos for that 8-hour workday. The good conscience of less liberal politics.
I was born in a time when people still considered their mortality and thought about the day after. Mushroom clouds and toxic dump sites inhabited my imagination because they were real. Somewhere we lost sight of this vision and came to reclaim our absolute faith in ourselves. Progress is growth. Growth is profit. Don't step on the brakes. And so we hurtle forward, sure that we can pilot our fates. We ignore the curve, or think that we can outrun it. Technology and progress will escape their own shadows. And I'm no Luddite, but I want to step on the brakes, or put it through a sieve. I want to select the technologies that keep us alive. A dozen countries have the bomb, and the rest of us just keep driving, consumed by our own appetites. The bombs pile up, the waste piles up. Which one will get us first? Megatons of explosives, or megatons of garbage? Which one will bury us first? There's no break. We're just waiting to see how far we can go. A dozen countries have the bomb, and the rest of us just keep driving, consumed by our appetites. The bombs pile up, the waste piles up. Which one will get us first? Megatons of explosives, or megatons of garbage? Which one will bury us first? There's no break. We're just waiting to see how far we can go. Most species end in extinction. How far will we go? Can we stay on this curve? What's the threshold? How far can we go? We think that we can fix it, that there's no limit to what we can do. We'll wait until it's toxic before we try and stop it. How far will we go? Can we sort this out? Can we achieve and select? Can we shape our trajectory?
like to say, like, what did you expect? And we got what we deserve. And maybe this will be the beginning of something new. And what else could they have done at this point? Of course I wish it hadn't happened. So many fathers and mothers and lovers never coming home again. So many innocents. So many somewhat innocents. I know it was awful. But come on! We do it all the time! Terrorism is the little army attacking the big army, and we've always been the big army. So now the big army retaliates in the name of justice, or revenge, or something. Of course no one's saying it's our fault. What did we do? What did we ever do to anyone? And the flags are making me sick. And how can I sustain my grief when there are calls to war? And dark-skinned people fear for their lives. And 3,000 deaths will be used as an excuse to bomb the shit out of some country of non-Christians, non-whites, that we've already had a stranglehold on. Not like an excuse was needed. I can tell you what we should do. I could tell you what happened. I could tell you why. But no one's listening. And no one's listened for a long, long time. Recognize this place! It's in the big toe! Electric smoking! New exact vibrant symbols! From real to failure! Reproduce! I don't know if I like it! But I never know that it counts. The direct that sleep takes things everywhere. Our neighborhood towns, drugs, football, set in place, every place. Our culture, no culture. It's always been this way, I think. Don't you people eat here? I don't know. Why do we even on the first place? But I don't know.
This is a call for reclamation. The patent's up, the lease is expired, restitution is in order, plain and simply delivered. Call for reclamation. So first take back your mind and the way it sees itself as receiver and not provider. Be ready to broadcast your thoughts. This is a call for reclamation. Time to take back the many printed pages. Those are our trees and our presses. Time to take back the wires because these were laid by hard-working human hands. Time to take back the billboards and decide how they should color our vision. Time to take back the air, because those waves should never have been owned. Time to take back the
sky for those satellites that launched off of our backs. This is a call for reclamation. Reject Infinity Broadcasting Company. Reject Clear Channel Communications. Reject Cumulus Media Incorporated. Reject Citadel Broadcasting Corporation. They are not ours, but they owe us. Reject Viacom. Reject Sony Corporation. Reject Vivendi Universal. Reject Liberty Media. Reject News Corporation. Reject Bartelsman AG. Reject Disney. Reject AOL Time Warner. They are not ours, but they owe us.
Sunlight drips into the familiar bathroom, dancing light off of the consoling water. She's been at this for so long now, but we're all patient, almost there. The midwives, calm, caring birth mothers, gently guide and reassure, moving her through a natural process. Don't screech up in your throat. Growl from deep down inside of you. And somewhere else, not far from here, in a hospital room blaring with artificial light, a woman is strapped down, separated from her animal nature, and yet treated like an animal. Delivered from the hell of a world where technology matters more than humanity, into a world of our own creation, shaped by our craft, but not dominated by it. Born of the strength of the woman I love, untainted by the hand of medicine, my baby girl came into the world.
All those wealthy bastards sure are glad that you find economics so boring and mundane, and choose instead to be the artist, honing skills to cleanly scream. If we really knew or cared to know, they couldn't hold us in their spells, just to make us all believe in stocks and bonds and GDP. We might know regressive and progressive, as alright. We're not listen, what's up? 93, all over against me. We're ending the perfect, very king. It comes round, put it down, 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 put it down.
My time is like a head of cattle, drawn and quartered to be slaughtered. But unlike the factory initiative, I'm divided according to need. The biggest piece goes to what she and I can make of it, and the next in size to think and read and write, and is smaller yet for noise and protest, and we'll beg and scrape for whatever's left. I think I'm doing this right, although it hurts to think I'm not enough, since my surplus is petty and scarce. I can't blame those too tired to wait. From the imposition of time on the pre-Paleolithic to the armed revolution, shooting down clocks. From the imposition of time on the pre-Paleolithic to the armed revolution, shooting down clocks. It's what I gain, what I lose. I see far too small, far too
fact, he had been sweating all day. And if you were to ask him, he would say that he'd been sweating non-stop, day and night, for a month. It is summer in New York City, and it is, as always, nearly unbearable. Mr. Levis Tuttleby is generally well prepared for summer, and can usually adjust to the oppressive heat in the city. This year seems to be different. Whether it's a string of 95-degree days, or whether it's the fact that due to something called urban heat island, a phenomenon Mr. Levis Tuttleby read about in the New York Times, whereby the city does not cool off when the sun goes down, or finally whether it's due to Mr. Levis Tuttleby's new apartment, which seems to trap all the heat acquired throughout the day and refuses to relinquish it, even in the dead of night. Whether it's due to any of these particular events, it cannot be said. It can, however, be most unequivocally stated that it is very hot, and Mr. Levis Tuttleby is very unhappy. It is true that Mr. Levis Tuttleby lives in a new apartment. In fact, it is one what might call a loft. Mr. Levis Tuttleby had, with the help of a roommate and friends, constructed all of the walls of the loft. The thick wall insulation Mr. Levis Tuttleby had installed seemed most appropriate. He is now regretting it. The well-constructed, or at least well-insulated, walls allow little airflow and effectively block the possibility of air circulating from one end of the apartment to the other. Thus, it seems that the reason that the city cools down a bit at night is because all the hot air moves directly into Mr. Levis Tuttleby's apartment. Mr. Levis Tuttleby's room is by far the most hot and least comfortable room in the apartment. This is due to the fact that Mr. Levis Tuttleby has taken measures to soundproof his room. It is the case that Mr. Levis Tuttleby is a musician and does not want to bother any of his neighbors or roommates with his playing. There is extra installation in the walls, sound dampening material covering the walls and ceiling, and rugs all over the floor. Mr. Levis Tuttleby had unwittingly created a Dutch oven in which he is to sleep. Mr. Levis Tuttleby is working right now. His position with the Board of Education gives him time off in the summer. Most of the summer is spent at home involved in sundry projects which he hopes to finish before beginning work again in the fall. However, his progress has been painfully slow due to the aforementioned heat, so he has undertaken to find ways to stay cool. Mr. Levis Tuttleby's first and most successful plan has been to change his sleeping patterns. This technique, like so many other brilliant discoveries, was chanced upon most accidentally. As the days got hotter, Mr. Levis Tuttleby felt less and less able to get out of bed early in the morning. The oppressive weather sapped his will to act at all, so he languished in bed for many hours, dozing off again and again, until he absolutely had to get out of bed in order to make an appointment or eat. Simultaneously, he has not at all felt like going to sleep at normal hour, both because of sleeping in to such a late hour, and also because, as night wears on and his apartment begins to cool, somewhat anyway, his customary drive returns, and he increasingly feels the desire to do something constructive. So it is not uncommon for Mr. Levis Tuttleby to be up until the witching hour, hard at work on one project or another. These activities reinforce his desire to sleep late, which reinforces his need to stay up to all hours, and so forth. There are very few humans that function on such a schedule, but Mr. Levis Tuttleby is learning. There are drawbacks to this situation that come in the form of morning appointments, getting to the post office before it closes, meeting any of his friends, for of course they are on a completely different schedule altogether, etc. When these anomalies occur, they of course lead to an inevitable loss of sleep. under normal circumstances could be made up for by napping. However, this is not possible. Sleeping in the midday heat is beyond the realm of possibilities. This is why, should we run into Mr. Levis Tuttleby on the street, we should see bags under and circles around his tired eyes. There are hours during the day in which Mr. Levis Tuttleby is quite awake. For these hours, he has constructed other methods of dealing with the heat. One method is to eliminate all unnecessary movements. Mr. Levis Tuttleby sits for hours in front of his fan without moving, except perhaps to turn the page of a book. Even writing works up a sweat. So Mr. Levis Tuttleby endeavors to be as still as possible for as long as possible. It is as if the heat were a sleeping parent who is angrily awakened at the slightest stirring by its child. So the child does not move, as much as can be helped, that is. It might also be likened to a horrible wound one has incurred, perhaps a back wound. If one lies on one's back as still as possible, one need only endure the dull yet constant pain associated with the wound. If one were to move, one would experience a sharp, searing, and traumatic agony. On these occasions, Mr. Levis Tuttleby tries to gather around him everything he may need or want. A large supply of a cold liquid, not cold for long of course, foodstuffs, a variety of reading material, the phone, and pen and paper. It is the unlucky case when Mr. Levis Tuttleby is in the middle of a good long sit in unbearable weather that the phone rings and it is not within Mr. Levis Tuttleby's grasp. Another technique Mr. Levis Tuttleby has been known to employ is to escape to some air-conditioned space. This could be any number of cafes or stores. It is not unlikely that Mr. Levis Tuttleby will sit in the coffee shop that would normally repulse him, buy a very expensive drink that he could easily make at home, and sit for hours attempting to be productive in some way. He might also be forced into bookstores or record shops to look at all sorts of books and records he cannot afford to buy, nor has time to consume. Or worse yet, he may actually find himself buying something in these stores. It is certainly hard for a literary and musical enthusiast, such as Mr. Levis Tuttleby, to resist the temptation that is presented when forced to browse due to the weather. Now, some may say that Mr. Levis Tuttleby should invest in an air conditioner. However, were it the case that Mr. Levis Tuttleby was more properly remunerated for his post with the Board of Education, he may be able to do just that. As it is, his income is, like many others, rather meager. However, if it was the case that Mr. Levis Tuttleby were to get his hands on an air conditioner, he himself has surmised that the shoddy electrical work done in his apartment could not support the requirements of such a contraption. However, if it was the case that his surmises were incorrect regarding this point, he would also have to overcome the monetary pressures involved in paying the electricity bill associated with the luxury of air conditioning. This is no small feat. It is not cheap to keep one's room at room temperature. Finally, it could be the case, and has been hinted at in the past by some, that Mr. Levis Tuttleby is slightly uncomfortable with the thought of air conditioning. Of course, this may be slanderous, and the author wishes to express that he provides this information without any claim as to its accuracy, and therefore avows no allegiance to the source of the information or the truth contained herein. Moreover, the author would like to make a break with those who would put an ideological bent to the information to be presently released. In sum, the following in no way represents the opinions of the author, or anyone related to or known to the author, the publisher, or any of the publisher's family, immediate or extended, or the printer, including all those who have worked, currently work, will or may work in the printing industry. It may indeed be the case that Mr. Levis Tuttleby would much rather experience the weather without the help of temperature control when it can be avoided. It may be one thing to heat an apartment in a region where temperatures have always been extremely low, and what the heater in Mr. Levis Tuttleby's apartment does could hardly be called heating at any rate. It is quite another to attempt to maintain a 70-degree room at all times throughout the year. It would be nice if the temperature in the city were not many degrees warmer than that of the surrounding region, and for Mr. Levis Tuttleby, it is not enough to simply adjust the weather to his liking. This may be the mark of Mr. Levis Tuttleby's slowly disintegrating mind. Be all that as it may. Currently, Mr. Levis Tuttleby is sweating. He has just woken up and his options are few. It is only 12 p.m. He certainly cannot sleep anymore, even though he was up until 4 a.m. the previous night. He is both no longer tired and too uncomfortable in his sweaty bed to sleep another wink. His cafe sitting and bookstore and record shop browsing of yesterday left him nearly broke. So he can either find some free air-conditioned air to sit in, or else attempt to stay cool in the oppressive heat of his apartment. For a long time now, Mr. Lewis Tuttleby has held that when presented with a choice between two evils, one really is not given a choice at all, because it is merely a mockery of choice to be forced to pick something one does not want. So Mr. Lewis Tuttleby is sweating as he peels himself off the bottom sheet. He has to steady himself at the door of his room as he ascertains how hot it really is. He pours a glass of water from the refrigerator and wipes the sweat from his brow. He gathers his notebook, pen, a magazine, and his book. He removes his shirt and pants and sits in boxer shorts on the couch next to the fan. He can feel himself sticking to the couch, his skin adhering to the fabric. He opens his book. Several large drops of sweat fall onto the page. His vision is clouded by perspiration dripping into his eyes. It suddenly seems to get hotter. He closes his book and looks at the clock. 12:22. From across the room, the phone rings. Mr. Lewis Tuttleby sweats.
Without insurrection, without infiltration, we are thinking folks in bathroom stalls.
what I can. And this was written by a forthcoming 40. If history has any insight, it may get too old to do anything except pick things out and place them around me.
And that is the plight of the lucky, to pick things out and choose the right colors and think that it's all just desserts. Class is a birthright, and there's too many more than one. And it really sucks when you love what you own, and that is far more than enough. It's a hot day,
But we have AC,
it's real cold,
but at least we have heat. And those without homes are like litter.
Where are the 40-year-olds with patios, writing manifestos
In the shade,
Where are the 40-year-olds with patios, writing manifestos
in the shade. How can the have-nots be only their business? How can the have-nots be only their business? How can the have-nots be only their business? In what kind of world is that the case? In our kind of world that we have to change. How can the have-nots be only their business?
Ideas inside of us, but we like to portray the ones that make us look good. Pile up all the ideas. Extreme filters selectively allow the internal to go external. The mounting pressure is enough to drive you insane. Everything should go out. Not everything should go out. Cultural reception. Cultural deception. Tells us what's wrong. Is there something wrong with what we feel and think, or is it how we view these expressions? Is there a wrong idea? Is there a wrong thought? The one that doesn't see light. The one that doesn't see light. Dark thoughts. Thoughts unsaid. Dark thoughts. Thoughts unsaid. makes us uncomfortable.
Don't be afraid.
The earnest 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 makes us uncomfortable.
Don't be afraid.
Tell the truth inside of you. Disposability does not really thrill me, but there's something so satisfying in a tool well used. I like to drop things when they're on their last legs and not just when they're no longer brand new. I've come to realize that if I watch what I buy, I can live with very few. Because I am not to be judged by what I own and call mine, but by what I say and do. The less I buy, the more I have. The very little that I hold is very good. A few things, handmade and well designed. Very little, very good.
Would it be honored among the honorable? Or must it be brought about by force? Does it make sense in an economy of limited resources? Or does it impose further limitation? Simply desire, excess, or required. How many houses can one have when some have none? How many cars when some are stuck? How much food when some are hungry? Drink when some are parched. And how much clothing when some go naked. Lest you forget, people are starving. Dying of cold. In the 21st century, some don't have enough to survive, while others die of surplus.
tell the difference. We must be growing down.
First catalogs arrived before she was born, along with free samples of formula, the perfect algorithm for early separation, their proxy for family parented by corporation. There's a predator out there with all the tools of persuasive psychology at his disposal and more funding than most schools. He's trying to shape my child's mind before it's fully formed. Introduce the shape and create the form. It works like foot binding if you start early. Bright colors and prepubescent focus groups, exploiting the curious nature of the young minds, preying on a predisposition to explore, forcing parents to cloister and restrict. It works just like foot binding if you start early. Billboards, television, radio, movies, the internet, music. We have to watch what street we walk down. Blame the victim, shouldn't have been walking there. Blame the victim, shouldn't have been living there. It works just like foot binding if you start early. So don't tell me to police my own borders when the encroachments are pervasive, perversely vying for my role in guiding the decisions and priorities of my child. It works just like foot binding. It serves your needs. We want our innocence back. Just a few moments each day to let down our guard, to be curious without caveat.
I like it improvised, free and unruly, is that music does not always need to be kept. Had like a commodity, stewarded in workaday factories, reducible to assembled parts, under stern control. Improvised because sometimes I want to discuss freedom by demonstration instead of by sermons spoken in my first language. Because there's more to be said using non-native tongues. But these are words on words. These are words on words in monologue form. Because narration is never as collective as group illustration. And because sometimes it's precisely that dominant tongue that is too much of everything. Too much of everything. We seek to be free from.
I don't shave my eyebrow. I don't wear deodorant. I don't buy fashionable clothes. I don't step on the scale. I don't wash my hair every day. I don't give a shit if you feel alienated. Sometimes I don't feel so good about my stomach. But I remember that I am not a mannequin. It's not so easy for everybody. I would be convinced otherwise if I didn't know I was right. I can feel it in my skin, in my hair, in my ass, in my thighs. I don't own a mirror. I don't watch TV. I don't buy beauty products. I am not lazy. I smell like me.
I smell ugly, I smell beautiful.
I look like me.
I look ugly, I look beautiful.
Fuck their beauty.
Let's measure reason, and we'll use the same rule that the masses employ. If we're really well behaved, we'll never happen to ask why they use the one that they do. Let's fix normativity to the machinery of empire. It's politics, it's media, it's morals and values. Empire compatibility is rational, okay? If we refute our own leaders, we're irrational, we'll say. Don't be so damned evil. Don't be so damned evil, turning reason against itself. All small crowds are irrational, you rabble-rouser, psychologically mixed up to the tune of insane. But what if the big crowd went mad when it was trying to assimilate barbarians back in the day? Rumor has it that there's some other kind of reason, one that could stand on its own, unpropped up by the fictions of those who write the rules. Like a pathetic, drooping plant with a tree of knowledge identity crisis. Being reasonable means being quiet and earning a barely livable wage to plump the corporate belly or sweep up their litter. Having sympathy for victims requires being patriotic. If being patriotic is never idiotic, well then you better lock me up. You better lock me up. I seem to have been brainwashed by a liberal media that has yet to show its face. And I am clearly a danger to sanity. To be rational, I need to be insane. To be sane, I need to be irrational. It's a case of reason versus itself. To be rational, I need to be insane. To be sane, I need to be irrational. It's a case of reason versus self. Versus itself.
done for years and years. There's something distracting about their insistence on cultural decline, and an internal contradiction in the hedonism they claim to abhor. Back in 1971, when I was born, the war was won. Long-haired hippies and disco studs played their role, but not on our side. Because while the fools talk values in terms of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, the tools made sure the real value was reassigned. Turn the screw, change the setting. Turn the screw, change the setting. Tweak the structure from progressive to regressive, and everything's assured. Systemic slides morality, real morality. I want universal health care.
I want quality education for all.
I want to forever end famine.
I want an end to rent slavery.
I want to preserve the Earth's biodiversity.
I want to give treatment to all the addicts.
I want to reduce greenhouse gas emissions.
I want global equity.
I want sustainable agriculture.
I want free public transportation.
I want renewable energy.
I want reparations for slavery.
I want an end to poverty.
I want my own safe
I
community.
want gyms run like libraries.
I want a chance to live life out from under
I
the
want a
yoke.
chance to live life out from under the yoke.
Who's gonna pay for it? 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 Who's gonna pay for it?
I was born into this. I have no way of looking back. I was born into this, and no moral change or lifestyle shift will switch this track. Welfare reform, refusal to sign the Kyoto Protocol, monetary manipulation of developing countries, repeal of the estate tax, prisons as a growth industry, healthcare for the wealthy, not for the poor, quality of life crimes, dangerous sweatshops, 2 weeks of paid vacation if you're lucky, education funding pegged to property taxes, highways over railways, huge budget spent on military action, war as liberation, domestic one's health row, civilian casualties concealed as collateral damage, incarceration for addiction, foreign assassination, capitalizing on terror, welfare for big corporations, attempts to abolish affirmative action, oil as a national energy policy, subsidies for eco-destructive agriculture, refusal to pay UN dues, profits over people, work-free investment income, forced utility vehicles regulated as cars, violence as a solution.
You won!
Things you claim to hate,
You won!
all flow from that you fabricate.
You won!
Despite their pain, dismay,
They won!
no matter what they say.
We lost! 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 We lost!
destruction. Real value. Sweet destruction. Real value. Sweet destruction. Real values.
Let's tax the rich out of existence.